I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're embarking on a spiritual journey with one of my favorite guests, an author. His name is Robert McGuiness, and he has written a powerful book. It is called The Attenuating Puritan. This profound book follows an altruistic hero on a noble quest to restore the splendor of Eden, confronting adversities with unwavering faith and hope. Join us right now as we explore the depths of this contemplative tale filled with resilience, divine quests, and the eternal pursuit of purity. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Books to Life Marketing for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Robert, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Great to see you, Logan. Glad to be here.
It's such an intriguing title, The Attenuating Puritan. Let's start with that. What do you mean by that?
Well, attenuating has different meanings, but one of them is to bring to a point. And in my sense of it, is he is using his biologic self to pull the toxins from the environment and to bring them to a point and render them harmless as best as he can, hoping to metabolize some of them and turn them into inert substances, and in doing so, he puts it all on the line. He risks himself to do that, knowing that the Lord has his back and that he can rest and he can heal and he can process out and then get up and do it again.
Tell us a little bit about the hero and his story.
Well, he started out early being a little bit maybe ADHD, maybe a little bit of autistic. They put him on meds early in life, and he had arrested development to some extent because he got focused on one particular thing and then never moved from it. Maybe that was divine, maybe that was his true faith, or maybe it was a little bit of a product of the environment that he lived in. So we never really explored that. We mentioned some of those things, but we don't really know what led him down that path. But he stays fixated throughout his life in returning the Garden of Eden to its splendor, its pristine condition, and exactly the way you would assume that God would want his property to be treated.
Wonderful, wonderful. This book is getting a lot of attention around the globe. Recently, it was literally on the billboards in Times Square, which is, of course, the crossroads of the world. And also, it's been in news outlets around the globe as well. Give us a little bit about your reaction to this recognition that your book is rightfully receiving and your hope for it to reach a global audience.
Well, it's absolutely amazing. You never really expect that your 2 cents will be listened to by anyone. Now that the world is listening, I want to embrace them and I want them to feel my story and to read it, to encourage the local bookstores to ask for translations so their fellow countrymen can read it and understand it, and to join in the quest to just take a little bit of the Puritan and apply it to their own lives. Maybe consume a little bit less, maybe clean up a little bit more, and maybe have a little bit more faith in the day-to-day.
Absolutely. So to be a Puritan, according to your definition, would be to basically live a simpler life, a spiritual life, a faith-filled life, and a life that was ours before we left Eden, right?
Well, yes, but I also think of it in terms of the Mayflower landing in Massachusetts and them getting to a pristine country in search of their own religious freedoms, so he wants to exercise and express his belief systems. And even though most of the world thinks he's crazy, that's what he needs to be on the mission that he's on. So he needs to be a little bit deaf at times, and not listen to what everyone's telling him or what everyone else is thinking, and stay true to his individual belief in his individual God. So I really do fall back on the Mayflower, and being on the shores of Massachusetts there as a Puritan that went out seeking religious freedom. you know so
Absolutely.
that's I think part of all of us in America, is that, whether it's Ellis Island or the Mayflower, we all landed here, and when our ancestors got here, it must have been beautiful.
It still is beautiful. It's a
Yeah.
paradise. I've traveled to every corner of the globe, more or less, and I
And
still
this
come
is the
back to the
place.
United States.
Yeah.
It's paradise. And I'll go
Yeah.
to Mount Fuji in Japan, and they'll say, "Look how beautiful it is." And I'll say, "Well, it's nice, but have you seen the Grand Tetons?" Our country has everything every other country has in spades. I mean, we are
Yes.
so
Yeah.
blessed to live in this
Yes.
beautiful land, without a doubt. Your
Absolutely.
book would actually make a terrific film, in my opinion. I understand you've been approached by some folks in Hollywood, and that you're considering adapting this to the screen. I guess that would be kind of a dream because it would help you reach a broader audience, right?
It's absolutely a dream. You never really think that um, what you're putting down on paper is going to appeal to that many people, and you never think that it's going to be able to deliver a message to that many people. So it is. It's absolutely amazing, and we'll see where it goes. We have to develop it into a screenplay, so there probably needs to be dialogue added and things like that. So it makes me nervous to see as if somebody else can take the idea and not stray from the constraints of the character that I built, and make him powerful, and let us get the message from that person. It's
Yeah,
hard to see faith,
right.
so it's hard to see faith. So
It's hard to
let's
see faith, but I guess faith is demonstrated through one's actions, right?
absolutely,
Yeah.
yes,
And
I
that's
think
where the storytelling element would come in a screenplay, what the protagonist does that shows that he is a man of faith, that shows he is a Puritan, right?
right. And
Yeah.
then I think that also his faith is a tool that measures hope. And I
Yeah.
think at the end of the story is, regardless of what's going on, it ends up being hopeful and encouraging. And I think that maybe that's more a reflection on me, the author, than on the character in the book. So, but there it is, and let's deliver that.
Yeah, absolutely. You've already delivered it within the pages of this book. If you collaborate with a screenwriter, I would assume that you would maintain creative control and be able to keep the narrative just as you see fit, which would be terrific because you've done such a great job with this book. In this book, you talk about tainted sacraments and the battle against heavy metal and forever chemicals. Tell us about that.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious. Yeah, just this morning I was reading the news, and there was something in there about somebody that had a podcast, and it was amazing because the story was similar to the one I was writing, but it was in real life, and that was amazing. And he was dealing with a company that I had talked about in my story, and he was dealing with um, PBCs and things like that, which are forever chemicals. And he actually got sick and died from them,
Mm.
and they're making that into a movie as well. And it was really just, today of all the days is that it's in the news, and I never heard the story before, and I was absolutely flabbergasted. But when we talk about the tainted sacraments, from lead in the water and chromium in the water and things like that, it's even hard to have holy water that doesn't have some kind of contaminant in it. And if we look at the communion host being made out of wheat, we know that there can be contaminants in it as well. So it's really um, a shame that we, the caretakers, have allowed these things to encroach into our most sacred moments.
Exactly.
So it really needs to be looked at, and those are some of the things that really need to be cleaned up.
Yeah.
Instead of us saying, well, we can lift the bar on how much we can tolerate, and we can mutate a little bit, and then it's a little more acceptable. And I don't think that was the intention, and I don't think that's the direction we should be going. So I think we really need to take those issues from the spiritual side and not just from the economic side or the environmental side. This is,
Mm.
this contaminates our spirituality, and it poisons our ability to think properly. And that's a concern, because if we're not whole, we don't have the ability to have a whole society or a whole civilization. We need to be cognizant, and we need to be together in these things. And just a little bit of illness can put you in silent mode or
Mhm.
angry mode, or just push you back away from everybody altogether. And that's not the way the great society should be moving into the future.
Agreed.
Everybody looks back and tries to compare us now to the fall of the Roman Empire, and um, we know better. We don't drink out of leaded cups,
Yeah, exactly.
because we know better. So let's act like we know better.
Exactly. Stop polluting ourselves, stop poisoning ourselves. It's great advice, great insight. Robert McGuiness has penned a powerful book. It is called The Attenuating Puritan. It is a profound narrative that follows an altruistic hero on a noble quest to restore the splendor of Eden. Confronting adversities with unwavering faith and hope, this is a book that will help instill you with great faith, restore your faith if you already have it, and renew your hope for the future and for humankind. Robert, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
My pleasure. I look forward to talking with you again as well. So,
Same here.
uh,
Look forward to having you back on the show anytime. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.